Hi, and welcome back to the Midnight to Morning video series that focuses on the next 2,000 years in the life of the Bride of Christ. We are currently looking at the first millennium, the first 1,000 years, during which the shaft of an abyss must be opened, that sacred place between mind and heart. Opening the shaft includes reframing ideas about the Satan, sin, and spiritual purity. Reframing these core aspects of spirituality is a necessary part of pulling weeds and discarding false or outdated perspectives that are no longer helpful as the human spirit awakens to higher levels of awareness. Now, in this video, we will reframe the concept of sin. The word sin comes with a lot of baggage. I'd like to lighten the load that we carry without releasing our deep need to understand the seriousness of sin. Biblical scholars have traditionally defined the term as missing the mark. But what mark are we missing? And what causes us to miss it? The first mention of sin appears in Genesis 4, after the lesser voice of temporality overthrew God's voice of eternality in the garden account of Genesis 3. Now, Cain and Abel are therefore first generational offspring born under the beastly government of the lesser voice of temporality. And for this reason, Genesis 3 cannot be separated from Genesis 4 through Revelation 22. The lesser voice lives within the scriptural tapestry, speaking just as loud, if not louder, than God's voice. So the challenge for the readers of Scripture is to discern the difference between the two voices. That said, the passage of time between Genesis 3 is also important because time's passing causes memory issues, such as forgetfulness, doubt, and uncertainty regarding humanity's true spiritual identity. Considering this time factor, it would be imperative that we remember, trust, and be confident in our true identity, who we are, and to whom we belong. That's the mark. We can also understand how easy it would be to forget or doubt or feel insecure about who we are and to whom we belong, which would cause us to miss the mark of remembering. Forgetting things we should remember, like how cherished we are in God's eyes, and remembering things we should forget, like keeping records of wrongs, is the deceptive business of the lesser voice of temporal timekeeping. Now, Genesis 4 reveals this tragedy of errors brought on by Cain's uncertainty about his own spiritual identity. What darkened understandings did Adam and Eve pass on to Cain and Abel over the course of time? Why was Cain not doing well? Listen to the first mention of sin. So the Lord said to Cain, "If you do not do well, sin is lurking at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must master over it." We could assume that Cain wasn't doing well because his grain offering hadn't pleased God. But what voice planted the idea that God needed sacrificial offerings? What voice would set up a scenario where Abel's offering would please God, but Cain's would be in some way inadequate? What voice would cause Cain to burn with anger and jealousy towards his brother? Listen to the reframe. The Lord said to Cain, "Now, if you don't do well, insecurity, doubt, and forgetfulness regarding who you are and to whom you belong is lurking at your door. Insecurity, doubt, and forgetfulness desires to own you, but you must master over these things. Notice that the reframe isn't about Cain's grain offering or his feelings of anger or jealousy. The reframe equates sin with Cain's lack of confidence in his rightful spiritual identity. Can we master over our own insecurity, doubt, or forgetfulness regarding who we are and to whom we belong? Yes, we can. Consider the woman caught in adultery in John 8. Let anyone among you who has never doubted or forgotten your true spiritual identity be the first to throw a stone at her. Notice that the reframe isn't about adultery. Jesus understood the woman's spiritual uncertainty. She didn't know who she was or to whom she belonged until she saw herself reflected in the eyes of Jesus. Go and sin no more is then reframed as go and never again doubt or forget who you are and to whom you belong. Sin is the invalidation of our core spiritual identity within the essence of our being. This simple reframe of sin separates the temporal condition of invalidation from poor behaviors, immorality, or broken commandments, which are decisions and choices made after our core identity has been compromised in some way by doubt, uncertainty, or forgetfulness. So 1 John 2 reads, "My dear children, I write this to you so that you will not fall into uncertainty. But if anybody does doubt or forget, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous one. He gave up his own life to make amends for our forgetfulness, and not only for ours, but also for the doubt and uncertainty of the whole world." Remembering, trusting, and being confident in our true spiritual identity, who we are and to whom we belong, that's the mark. Next up, reframing spiritual purity. Thanks for listening.